seconds. So that's clearly a change in start driver. Ben Pitch then is in the car.
No, that was my fault, sorry.
In second place is the first. He's going to get the hit strong finish line. He's in the slipstream coming out of Murray's corner for the first time. They're going to be side by side. Well, we'll carry on where we left off after race one, shall we? Side by side for the race lead. Rory Brown on the outside, Ben Pitch on the inside. Brown has his nose ahead just at the start finish line and leads the opening lap by a massive 35/1000ths of a second. But Ben Pitch is fighting back again on the inside into Rich's corner, and he does hold on to the race lead. Into third, by the way, goes the 103 car. Really good start for Morgan Tilbrook here in his second year of racing, and he's into a podium place here in the early stages. Meanwhile, the Domino's car getting rather close for comfort there with the track focus machine. That was Chris Hart in 106 and Sean Cooper in 262, almost banging doors. And right at the back of the field are Axiometric, so I think there might have been a moment somewhere there for Chris Doval on the first lap. He's not only in the back of the pack, but he is some 7.6 seconds behind anybody else, so the Axiometrics car quite possibly has been off the road. Change of lead has now happened though. Ben Pitch has lost out to the Team Wasp car that was behind him, the number 249 car, and Rory Brown has got the lead away now then, and he'll try to escape. But as we saw in that first race, as we've seen throughout the years here at Snetterton, it's almost impossible to do that. Making good progress. Car number one though, this is a much better start to the race for Farchini in the number one Uvio Hoffman's Lotus car, which was 8th at the start of the lap, but he is now 246th as they go into Oggie's corner, having got past Ciro Carinante and Ed Worthington by the looks of it. One car kicking up the dust, that was the Greenheath machine, I think, of number 14 Gary Bate, who ran a bit wide out of Oggie's, and the Truman's car has spun, so we have our first casualty, I'm afraid, and the Truman's car pointing the wrong way coming out of Oggie's, thankfully does not stall though, and carries on its way, Jamie.
And Chris Doval was hit.
Ah.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Don't know by who, but it was an assist rather than full.
Okay, so contact for Axiometrics then on the outside. Earlier on in the lap, and Morgan Tilbrook is charging after the leading two. Across the line they go then. 249 lead the way, 146 is second, and 103 in third place. Side by side, almost there for fifth position as Farchini tries to get himself up alongside and ahead of, ultimately, Ellis Hadley into Rich's corner, but wasn't able to do it. Sean Cooper and Chris Hart continuing their private battle over, where are they running? They're down in 14th place, and Track Focus have just moved back ahead of the Make Happen Racing 2 Red Domino's car for that position. So, as you'd expect, with this being a longer race, they are being a little more patient at the start of this one, but still lots of side-by-side action throughout the field. Of course, it's a much more jumbled grid this time because it was a random grid rather than a grid decided by the qualifying session, which was the first time, certainly in my memory, that we've had an actual legitimate qualifying session at a Fun Cup meeting, so that was a nice change. But this is the kind of random mixed-up grid that always does produce a good first sort of 40 to 60 minutes worth of racing as they try and shake it back out and get back into their correct positions, if you see what I mean. But in fairness, there are no slow cars at the front of the field here. The top three are maybe gapping the Greenheath car in fourth, but it's been a decent start to the race, this for Gary Bate, who is an experiencst Caterham racer, and he's doing his best to fend off Ellis Hadley in the JPR GT radial car, but Ellis Hadley is close enough now, definitely, to get a slipstream, and there's a bit of a queue forming from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th places on back. One car running a bit wide there out of Hamilton. I think that was John Cordwell in the 157 car who just got two wheels on the grass, loses a place to the 214 Raw Motorsport car of Alex McLeod. Right, lead us down the back straight then for the third time, and are we side by side for the lead? I think we might have been there. separated slightly now from the race leader, so Rory Brown will come across the line this time with probably about a 6 or 7 tenths of a second cushion, no 9 tenths of a second. He's almost broken out of the slipstream, side by side behind Ellis Hadley versus Farkini, and Farkini on the inside. It's surprisingly hard to do that. You don't do an awful lot of braking into ridges, so it can be quite hard, even if you're fully alongside on the inside line. The momentum is often with the driver on the outside, and that's what happened there. Ellis Hadley keeps the GT Radial car out in front, or not in front, but ahead in their fight for 5th position. So everyone is still running, I believe. The Truman's car fell towards the back, but actually rejoined just ahead of Axiometrics, who they have both come through at the end of lap 3, but they are some 23 seconds or so off the lead. A disastrous start for two of our potential front-running teams, especially Axiometrics, of course, who missed out on victory in that opening race of the day by a fairly narrow margin. The eventual winning margin just 0.47 of a second. And that will be one of the closest finishes we've had here at Snetterton, I would imagine. The closest finish, as I said, was 0.4 something, wasn't it? It was back in 2012, 0.55 was. That was the closest Snetterton finish we've ever had in race number 1. And race 2, hopefully, at the end of 4 hours, we'll see a similarly close battle at the front of the field. The lead pack for the time being are pretty close together, as you would expect, but with this race being that significantly longer, it does open up possibilities of strategy maybe coming into play. Of course, we had no refuelling in that first race. It was all about just the fastest driver changes the teams could do, and then most of it was really just settled out on track in the racing. But this time around, teams will have to choose. From Rory Brown. So Brown was escaping at the start of the lap, but Ben Pitt just closed in on him and has got the lead back away. Drive straight past him. Well, that's the plan anyway. That's what Rory Brown is trying to do. Pull to the outside, then drop back into the toe again. PLR racing car is quick in a straight line, and Ben Pinch is driving down the middle of the road. Brown sees a gap on the inside, but Ben moves across to cover. That was just about legal, I think. It was almost a reactionary move, but I think he moved just in time to avoid a penalty for that. Further back, Andy Bicknell there dicing away with race 1 winners, the Vikings. I remember they started at the back of the grid. They're into 13th place. In fact, I think they just took 12th place away from Bicknell going into Riches. So the Vikings charging up the order once more. They started fairly deep in the field in race 1. It wasn't really till after the first set of pit stops that they kind of arrived on the scene in the lead pack. And they, in fact, jumped straight into 2nd place after that first set of stops. A long way away from the first stops in this race though, so the racing on track can continue, and Ben Pitch is under pressure into Agostini. And has Rory Brown got on the inside? No, still single file as they turn into the hairpin and then back down the short straight. The Gary Bate in that green lead car has closed back in on them as well, so it looks like a couple of drivers in this lead group maybe just needed a few laps to get back into the rhythm, and they're now starting to push on, and it's all kind of concertinaing together. You've got Farkini in 5th, who's definitely catching them all, and then in 6th position, is that still GT Radial? It is. Ellis Hadley kind of going with him, and then the first of the gaps is back to Ciro Carinante in 7th place, and then an even bigger gap back to Ed Worthington, who's 8th, but I think he's just taken that 8th place away from no, yes, he has just moved into that 8th position, so battle just holding up the second half of the field a little bit. Truman's working their way back through with Axiometrics as well, so Axiometrics started the lap in 21st, but they've gained another couple of positions since then. Side behind them with the Uvio car of Farkini going up the inside of Gary Bate before. This brings Ellis Hadley into play, and it's now a 6-car train for the lead again as they come out of Coram and into Marine. And now we've got Morgan Tilbrook trying to get himself up alongside Ben Pitt for 2nd place. So PLR Racing, having lost the lead, almost lost second, but then actually it's Tilbrook that makes the mistake at Riches, and Barkini needed no second invitation. He gets up the inside through the second part of the corner and moves the Uvio Hoffman's Lotus car with its new livery for 2020 into top 3 for the first time. And they started, let me remind myself, 18th on the grid, so a good start this from Barkini. They started obviously a little bit further back in race 1, but they didn't make electrifying progress up the order really until about halfway through the race, by which point the leaders had escaped, whereas this time they've been able to get into that lead group, and that's really half the battle in these races, especially again the longer races. If you can just be in touch with the leaders in that lead pack, slipstreaming around with other quick cars, then I think a lot of the drivers in this first into the race will be pretty happy with that actually. Don't need to be leading every lap as long as you're somewhere in that pack. You can save a bit of fuel as well, of course, running in the slipstream. If you're out in front, you are punching that hole in the air, and that slows you down on the straights. You need to use more fuel to go as quickly. So sometimes we have seen drivers tactically sitting back in the queue just to try and save a bit of fuel. Slow car, or is that a mistake for Greenheath? They've dropped back from the top 4. They were right with them going into Oggies, and then coming through Williams, that car seemed to slow. I think it was just a mistake for Gary Bate, but he's lost a position to Ellis Hadley. Hadley into 5th position now, and we'll keep an eye on that 14. Pit lane. It's certainly dropped back from Ellis Hadley. Meanwhile, Farkini going into 2nd on the inside of Coram, but Ben Pitch fights back into Murray's and goes straight back into 2nd place. This is absolute music to the ears of Coram now. In this race, over the chasing pack. It was Farkini back alongside Ben Pitch across the start finish line, and Edwards is amazing 3-5. Brilliant stuff before Ben Pitch on the inside had to really bail out of that, so Barkini stays 3rd in the end, and Ben Pitch, the big loser, goes from 2nd to 4th. But that was as graphic an example as you will ever see of a double slipstream down the pit straight.
And Gary Bate brings the Greenheath car into the pit lane and straight into the garage. So it's overheating big time.
To be overheating. Yeah. He was in the toe, wasn't he?
Well, it was basically 6th back to 18th, wasn't it? That big train, and he's not happy at all. Let's just say he's shown his opinion towards the car.
Well, he was driving it. Oh, I've got someone else in now with damage.
Yeah, that's the John Caldwell car. That's left front damage on there. Hopefully you can hear me with this horse car. I don't sound all muffled. But yeah, no, so John Caldwell's in. Yeah, Gary Bate, absolutely furious. So I won't be going to have a chat with him. Lovely guy, lovely as he is. Probably now's not the right time to be having a chat. Right, down at Raw Motorsport, let's pop down there. It always happens when they're at either ends of the pit lane.
Sorry Jamie, quickly, stop-go penalties for car 157, well that matters little now I suppose, but of more significance, 2 on 4, Raw Motorsport.
That's Alex Cloud.
Down in 18, and out of position.
On it. I'm wondering if he's got off and he's picked up a puncture.
157.
Yeah, sorry, 157. Yeah,
oh,
the guys are just quickly putting it.
You're right, actually. He did go on.
He's caught the end of the curb.
Well, maybe
just popped the tyre off the rim.
Maybe.
So yeah, but we're not speculating. Meanwhile, it's getting busy at Zone 1.
Well, yes, indeed. The 2 cars I've really been watching in this stint making good progress, track focused, and oh dear, the 106 car of Chris Hart, the Make Happen Racing 2 Red Dominoes team. I will memorise that name before the end of the season, I promise. They are both getting themselves well and truly stuck into that sort of secondary pack of cars. Track Focused have worked their way into, where are they now? 8th position. They're now moving across some slightly harder cars to overtake, so the moves are getting a bit more physical maybe, but no contact, but just sort of going for gaps that are just about big enough and hoping for the best really. But Chris Hart was trying to get past Ed Worthington into turn 1, he couldn't do it, but he's gone to the outside again now down at Agostini about half a lap later and still can't do it, and they're both stuck behind Giro Carinante, who's holding his own nicely again, but has just slipped down a little bit from, obviously started on the front row, dropped down to about 4th or 5th on the opening lap and had been catching back up to the leaders, but he's back down into 7th place now. So the leader's heading back out onto the Bentley straight again. Then the lead for Rory Brown. Now that he's broken the toe, he's laughing because he's got a 3.3 second cushion now over second place man Farkini, and on the previous lap he was about 1.5 seconds quicker than the number 1 car as well. So the gap. That's the thing. You can be a second. Every time he jumps into a Fun Cup car, he and his dad have raced for a number of different teams over the years and always been quick. They've never done a full season though, and I hope that they do stick around for the whole year because they're definitely championship contenders. The Vikings have not raced on the very contact. The 110 car that was started by Mark Home with a pretty quick rotation. A simple stop and go. They don't have to stop, stop literally for a second and then off he goes, but the damage is done by having to trundle down the pit lane on the pit lane speed limiter. He drops now into the middle of Class B with Axiometrics and the 99 car of Paul Callanine and Truman as well back there as well. Already we are nearly 20 minutes in and still battling going on for top 5 positions. Changed there for 4th place as Morgan Tilbrook got himself ahead of Ellis Hadley. Hadley had way back ahead again. And those two are losing touch slightly with the leading 3. Screech of tyres behind me was Alex McLeod, former Radical racer in the Raw Motorsport car, who roars back out onto the track again, albeit right down at the back. The only car behind them is the Greenheath car, which is in the pit lane. Right, is that lead gap coming down? Yes, it is. Came down by about half a second on the previous lap between Rory Brown and Farkini Dion. So Farkini, and he's bringing with him Ben Pitch. A really strong stint this from Ben Pitch. Fastest car on the track though, Morgan they're now into, I reckon, 6th place. Fastest car on the track on that lap, I reckon. Yeah, 2 minutes, well, near enough, 2 minutes. 19.120, now only 2.5 seconds behind the race-leading Team 7 Wasp 2 car. Vikings go through. Actually, they stayed in 14th then. They didn't lose a position in the end as a result of the spin they had. So, although I think they might have overtaken a few people on the lap preceding the spin because there were definitely some cars that went past them. Andy McNaught and Chris Snetterton. electrics and a pit stop penalty for the Dispatch Bay Express car. So race leader is still Harry Brown. It has now been caught by Morgan Tilbrook. And of course Ellis Hadley, Sean Cooper and Craig Butterworth are all not that far back either. So that's the next battle to watch for, I think, here, as PLR Racing tried to hang on to third position. A really solid top 5 in round 1 though, and they often seem to have issues in the opening round of the championship to PLR Racing, so they will be very, very happy that that first race was incident-free for them, and that they were not only got to the end in one piece, but they were in the conversation for the race victory. He's in the slipstream now as well, and as they come out of the final corner, Tilbrook is probably about to make his move, I reckon. The top 2 coming through. He's gone back out again, actually. Even about half a second slower than the race leader. Not quite side by side for third, but it is for 5th place as Sean Cooper goes to the outside into the fourth corner. Position there, another team who are plagued usually by terrible luck, who are very happy indeed to have got the first race out of the way with no dramas.
Update on Greenheath, sadly it's terminal. Is the water pump belts come off, and the only other option, speaking to Simon Smith, is that is to change the engine, but he's pretty certain the car won't be out again.
Well, that is
yeah, absolutely. Last year, 207 car, graduated to the 14 car at Silverstone, and like many of our newcomers that were last year, as we've seen today, Morgan Tilbrook running in the top 3. Even Jake Little's making great progress, up to 13th place now in the half car. Up forward as quickly as I thought he would do.
He's just gained a position. And
okay.
You've heard of the phrase "curse the commentator," haven't you?
Yeah.
What was the last thing that I said before I threw down to you? Then were you listening? I won't be offended if you say no. I said how nice it was that Track Focus got that first race out of the way with no problems.
Oh no.
Car slows and the order. The Tilbrook and Pitch battle, and Tilbrook has now gone through, by the way, to third place.
Yeah.
But, so the car is still going. It's just it's dropped down to
slightly bigger front end, what we call the diesel front end. So, which is the smoke in. Right. Okay. So let's focus on this. Morgan Tilbrook. Sean Cooper's in, Jack's going under the front of the car. Of course, you're only allowed 2 people in the pit lane, and of course maintaining social distance. They're lifting the front of the car up, just checks underneath, wheels just fallen over into the path of Sean's car, so he's not going to be able to move. I don't think Caleb can touch it, but Caleb Weatherall's just he's just thought, but better not. It's been another team touching another team's prop. Oh, that's hot. They've just realised how hot the wheel is. So just going to hold it. They're just torquing the wheel up now. looks like he's come in with a puncture. Though, just check with Mike.
Don't know how he got it.
You found one.
if you start running wide out of corners, like for example Palmer's, Hamilton, the quick left-handers, that is the wheel. That's what happened. It could have been contact as well. He was backing his way through the field. But either way, they have got back out of the track and so the order then, we are about half an hour into round number 2 of the Fun Cup UK Championship, and Team 7 Wasp 2 lead the way, car 249, still being driven well by Rory Brown. He's got a 3.8 second cushion now over the number 1 car, the UVO Hoffman's Lotus car of Farkini Yacht. Third position for 103, Enduro Motorsports Morgan Tilbrook, putting in one of the drives of his life here, with 4th place for Ben Pitch in the 146 PLR racing car. 5th is number 97, JPR GT Radials Ellis Hadley. 6th for number 111, that's 106's Chris Hart. 8th position for 263, that's the second Team 7 Wasp car, and that is started by Ed Worthington. 9th for 212, Make Happen Racing. Down to 11th position, so that's how it stands at the half an hour mark. The first pit stop window will be coming up in about 10 minutes time or so.